In the vast, echoing halls of the Interstellar Academy's biodome classroom, Hana existed as a fragile whisper among the chaos of alien students. Her crystalline body, a delicate network of translucent blues and soft greens, seemed to blend into the metallic learning pods like a forgotten memory. The ambient temperature control systems hummed quietly, indifferent to her growing isolation. Around her, students from a dozen different planetary systems moved with confident strides. Tentacled beings from gas giants stretched and contracted. Silicon-based life forms clicked and whirred, and reptilian creatures adjusted their scale-covered appendages. But Hana remained perfectly still, a living statue of vulnerability. Twapritan species, the Luminarians, were known for their extraordinary ability to absorb and reflect emotional energy. Right now, her body betrayed her inner turmoil, a symphony of blue-green waves that pulsed with each painful moment of rejection. The other students noticed her, but not in the way she hoped. Their glances were sideways, filled with a mixture of curiosity and contempt. A group of Cardonian students, tall, sharp-angled beings with exoskeletal armor, whispered loudly near her learning station. Their translator devices deliberately picked up volume, ensuring Hana could hear every cutting remark. "Look at how fragile she is," one of them sneered, his multiple eyes rotating in a predatory pattern. "Luminarians are nothing more than living, light displays, no practical value in real scientific exploration." Another joined in, her voice a metallic scrape. "Probably couldn't survive a standard gravity test. Weak, completely weak." Hana's crystalline structure began to dim, a physical manifestation of her emotional pain. She had traveled across 3 star systems to reach this academy, leaving behind her home planet with dreams of scientific discovery. Now those dreams seemed as fragile as her own body. Holographic projections started to dance around her, intentionally, disrupting her personal energy field. Each projection was a microaggression, images of her failing previous assignments, exaggerated representations of her physical form, mocking simulations of her communication attempts. The classroom's artificial intelligence seemed programmed to ignore these interactions. Designed to maintain a neutral learning environment, it interpreted these actions as standard interspecies communication protocols. Hana's research potential was extraordinary. Her molecular understanding of quantum entanglement was years ahead of most species. But potential meant nothing without acceptance, without a chance to prove herself. Her communication crystals, normally vibrant and responsive, now hung dull and lifeless. Each whisper, each laugh, each deliberate projection chipped away at her resolve. The other students knew exactly what they were doing. Social manipulation designed to push her towards isolation and eventual departure. In the massive biodome, surrounded by hundreds of students from across the galaxy, Hana had never felt more alone. Her transparent body seemed to fade into the background, a living metaphor of her current social standing. The Interstellar Academy prided itself on being a melting pot of galactic intelligence. Diversity was their motto, plastered on holographic banners that hung from the dome's curved ceiling. But diversity, Hana was learning, didn't always mean inclusion. As another round of holographic projections danced around her, disrupting her energy field and drawing mocking laughter, Hana made a silent decision. She would not break. She would not give them the satisfaction of seeing her shatter. Her crystalline structure began to stabilize, the blue-green waves becoming more controlled. Something was changing within her, a resilience that had survived generations of her species' evolutionary journey. Little did the other students know, but Hana was about to become something more than just a target. She was about to become a survivor. The biodome classroom continued its symphony of alien languages, technological hums, and social dynamics. And in the middle of it all, almost invisible, yet completely present, Hana waited. Her moment would come. Thandia. Harassment evolved from whispers to calculated attacks. 3 alien student groups, the Cardonians, the Silicon Collective, and the Plasma Wanderers, had formed an unlikely alliance with one goal: making Hana's academic life impossible. There, First strategic move targeted her communication crystals. These delicate structures were more than simple communication devices. They were Hana's lifeline to knowledge, connection, and survival in the academy. The Cardonian students discovered a specific frequency that could disrupt her crystal's quantum alignment. During an advanced molecular engineering lecture, Hana's crystals suddenly flickered. Soft blue light transformed into erratic, painful pulses. When she attempted to translate the professor's complex lecture notes, only broken fragments appeared. Mathematical equations twisted into meaningless symbols. The Silicon Collective members watched with cold calculation. Their robotic expressions revealed no emotion, but their multiple optical sensors tracked every moment of her growing distress. They understood precisely how to break her spirit without leaving direct evidence of bullying. Plasma wanderers, floating energy beings with semi-transparent forms, would strategically position themselves to create electromagnetic interference. Their natural energy fields, when carefully manipulated, could create subtle disruptions in Hana's communication network. Academy staff observed these interactions with practiced neutrality. Professor Renak, a seasoned administrator from a diplomatic planet, often described these encounters as natural integration challenges. His translator device would calmly explain that interspecies friction was expected in multicultural learning environments. Hana's academic performance began to collapse. Assignments that once showcased her brilliant understanding of quantum mechanics now returned with failing marks. Her precision, once her greatest strength, became her weakness. The strategic disruptions meant she could no longer demonstrate her true potential. During laboratory sessions, her experimental results would mysteriously corrupt. Holographic data streams would fragment, quantum simulations would collapse, and her carefully constructed research would dissolve into digital nonsense. The Cardonian students would exchange subtle hand signals celebrating each of her failures. Their exoskeletal structures would slightly vibrate, a form of silent laughter incomprehensible to most species, but perfectly clear in their social context. Hana tried reporting these incidents, but the Academy's multi-species complaint system was deliberately complex. Each report required translations, cross-referential evidence, and multiple witness statements. By the time she could compile such documentation, the next wave of harassment would begin. Her molecular structure began to show signs of stress. The beautiful blue-green shimmer that once characterized her form now appeared dull, with occasional fracture lines indicating emotional strain. Luminarian physiology was uniquely connected to emotional states, and her body was literally breaking under the psychological pressure. The Academy's artificial intelligence systems, designed to maintain academic neutrality, classified these interactions as acceptable interspecies communication protocols. No direct intervention was considered necessary. Plasma wanderers would float near her workstation, their energy fields creating subtle vibrations that disrupted her crystal's quantum alignment. Silicon Collective members would introduce microscopic, algorithmic errors into her research submissions. Cardonians would physically position themselves to block her access to advanced laboratory equipment, creating subtle but persistent obstacles to her academic progress. Hana understood she was fighting more than just individual bullies. She was confronting an entire systemic approach designed to marginalize her existence. Each disruption, each failed assignment, each moment of isolation was a calculated attempt to push her towards academic failure. But something was growing inside her, a resilience, a determination that refused to be broken by these calculated attacks. Her crystals might flicker, her assignments might fail, but her core remained unbroken. The Academy thought they were teaching her a lesson about survival. Instead, they were unknowingly preparing her for a revolution. Her silent resistance was about to become her most powerful weapon. June watched the systematic destruction of Hana's academic spirit with growing frustration. Humans were relatively new to the Interstellar Academy, often viewed as young and inexperienced by older galactic civilizations. But something burned inside him, a sense of justice that refused to accept silent suffering. During the advanced xenobiology simulation, the laboratory hummed with complex holographic projections, Exotic life forms from 1,000 planets flickered around workstations, molecular structures dancing in three-dimensional space. Most students worked in isolated clusters, their species-specific communication systems creating invisible barriers. Hana sat alone, her communication crystals flickering weakly. The Cardonian students had already positioned their energy disruptors, preparing for another systematic attack. They believed their actions were invisible, masked by the complex technological environment. June made a deliberate choice. He walked across the laboratory, each step calculated and purposeful. Other students noticed, a human intentionally breaking standard social protocols. The Cardonian group tensed, their multiple eyes rotating to track his movement. "May I work here?" June asked Hana, his voice calm and clear. Hana's crystals pulsed with surprise. No one had voluntarily approached her in weeks. Her translucent form seemed to brighten slightly, a subtle shift in her molecular structure revealing her emotional response. The Cardonian students exchanged quick signal patterns. Their plan was already in motion. As June sat, they activated microscopic energy disruptors designed to interfere with Hana's communication systems. But June was prepared. His Academy-issued technical interface was modified, a small rebellion against standard technological constraints. When the first disruption wave hit, he quickly generated a quantum interference pattern that neutralized their attack. The Cardonians looked shocked. Humans were not supposed to understand such complex technological counteractions. June's casual intervention had completely destroyed their carefully planned harassment. "Interesting molecular structure," June commented to Hana, pointing at their current simulation. "Your quantum alignment technique is unique." Hana's crystals flickered. Was this genuine academic interest? Her research had been systematically dismissed for months. A human was actually acknowledging her scientific potential. The Silicon Collective. Members observed this interaction with cold calculation. Their algorithmic social prediction models had not anticipated this human's intervention. June was operating outside their expected behavioral patterns. When the Plasma Wanderer students attempted to create electromagnetic interference, June simply adjusted the laboratory's energy field. His understanding of adaptive technological systems was surprisingly sophisticated. "They've been doing this for weeks," Hana's crystals translated quietly. "No one has ever intervened." June's response was simple. "That doesn't make it acceptable." The laboratory fell into an unusual silence. Other students watched this unexpected interaction. A human, a species often considered technologically primitive, had completely disrupted a well-established bullying system. The Cardonian group's exoskeletal structures visibly tensed. Their social hierarchy, built on systematic intimidation, was being challenged by someone who didn't understand their unwritten rules. June continued working, his presence creating a protective energy around Hana's workstation. He didn't draw attention to their interaction. He simply existed, a calm barrier against systematic discrimination. During the simulation's complex molecular reconstruction phase, June subtly guided Hana, helping her navigate the technological disruptions. His approach was collaborative, respectful of her inherent scientific abilities. The Academy's artificial intelligence systems registered this interaction, an unprecedented moment of cross-species cooperation that defied standard predictive models. Something was changing, not just in this laboratory, but in the fundamental social dynamics of the Interstellar Academy. Hana's communication crystals began to stabilize. For the first time in months, they pulsed with a steady, confident blue light. The unexpected intervention had begun. The molecular reconstruction project arrived like a critical challenge for all advanced students. Most believed it impossible, recreating complex quantum-entangled molecular structures from fragmentary data. The Academy's top researchers had designed this project specifically to test students' absolute limits. June understood something profound about Hana's crystalline structure that others missed entirely. Her species didn't just transmit information. They could restructure quantum data through their actual physical form. Where other students saw complicated mathematical equations, Hana saw living, breathing mathematical landscapes. During the initial presentation, Hana's communication crystals remained dim. Years of systematic bullying had crushed her confidence. June knew he needed to do more than just protect her. He needed to help her rediscover her own extraordinary potential. "Show them what you can do," June whispered quietly. The project involved reconstructing a molecular structure from 17% remaining data, a challenge that had defeated previous generations of scientists. The Cardonian researchers had publicly declared it mathematically impossible. June positioned Hana's workstation strategically. He understood that her crystalline body could act like a quantum resonance chamber, capable of interpreting fragmented information in ways no technological system could comprehend. When Hana's crystals began to pulse, the entire laboratory went silent. Her translucent form started generating holographic projections that seemed to dance between mathematical possibility and pure scientific poetry. Complex quantum pathways emerged, not through computational power but through an almost intuitive understanding. The Silicon Collective members stopped their calculations. Their algorithmic brains couldn't process what they were witnessing. Hana was solving a problem that their most advanced computational systems had deemed unsolvable. Professor Rennock, the Academy's senior administrator, watched the demonstration with growing amazement. His multiple sensory organs registered something extraordinary happening. A student whom his systems had categorized as marginalized and low potential was rewriting fundamental scientific understanding. June's intervention had been strategic. He hadn't solved the problem for Hana. He had created a safe environment where she could demonstrate her own incredible capabilities. The molecular reconstruction wasn't just completed. It was solved with such elegant precision that it challenged existing scientific paradigms. Hana's crystalline structure had essentially translated quantum information like a living, breathing mathematical translator. Academy administrators gathered around her workstation. Their previous dismissive attitudes transformed into genuine scientific curiosity. The Cardonian researchers who had systematically bullied her now watched with a mixture of shock and emerging respect. Hana's communication crystals began to shine with a confidence they hadn't displayed in months. Each pulse represented not just data but a statement of her own worth. She was no longer just surviving, she was proving her extraordinary potential. The Academy's artificial intelligence systems struggled to categorize what had just occurred. Their predictive models, built on years of established scientific protocols, were being fundamentally challenged by a single demonstration. June stood nearby, not celebrating, but watching with a quiet understanding. He had recognized Hana's potential when everyone else saw only a marginalized student. His intervention wasn't about proving a point. It was about creating space for genuine scientific exploration. Professor Rennock approached Hana, his translator device struggling to convey the depth of his emerging respect. "Your approach," he said, "represents a fundamental breakthrough in quantum molecular reconstruction." The words meant more than just academic recognition. They represented a systematic dismantling of the discrimination Hana had endured. Her crystalline body pulsed with a brilliant blue-green light, no longer trying to blend into the background but proudly declaring her existence. The Academy would never look at her the same way again. The unexpected friendship between a human student and a Luminarian researcher had just rewritten the rules of scientific potential. The transformation began quietly, almost imperceptibly. Hana's success wasn't just a personal victory. It became a catalyst for change across the entire Interstellar Academy. Where she once sat alone, now other marginalized students gathered around her workstation. Her communication crystals no longer dimmed in fear but glowed with a confident, welcoming light. June continued to support her, but he understood this was her moment to lead. Students from species that had previously ignored or bullied her now sought her guidance. A young silicon-based researcher struggled with quantum entanglement problems. A plasmaform student couldn't stabilize complex molecular simulations. Hana understood their challenges because she had lived them. Her mentoring approach was unlike traditional academic support. She didn't just teach technical skills, She taught resilience. Each mentoring session became a masterclass in surviving. Institutional discrimination. The Academy's administration watched this transformation with growing recognition. Professor Renak began documenting Hana's approach, realizing they were witnessing something far more significant than an academic breakthrough. June remained a supportive presence, but he deliberately stayed in the background. His initial intervention had created space, but Hana was writing her own narrative now. Interstellar communication networks began picking up the story. A marginalized student who transformed her pain into scientific excellence became more than just an individual success. She became a symbol of hope. Other academies across different star systems started reviewing their own integration policies. The ripple effect of Hana's journey extended far beyond the biodome classroom, where she had once felt invisible. The Cardonian researchers who had previously bullied her now sought her collaborative research opportunities. Their previous aggressive behavior transformed into genuine scientific respect. Hana developed a unique mentorship program. It wasn't just about academic excellence. It was about creating supportive environments for students from different planetary systems. She understood that true scientific progress required more than technical skills. It needed emotional intelligence. June's simple act of sitting next to her during that first xenobiology simulation had unleashed a fundamental change. He had shown that compassion could be a powerful scientific tool. The Academy slowly rewrote its integration policies. Harassment reporting systems became more transparent. Support mechanisms for marginalized students were established. What had begun as a personal intervention was now institutional transformation. Hana's communication crystals began generating educational modules that helped other struggling students understand their own unique capabilities. Her molecular reconstruction techniques became required study for advanced research programs. The Silicon Collective, once known for their cold computational approach, started incorporating empathy training in their academic protocols. The Plasma Wanderers developed new communication frameworks that recognized diverse learning styles. During an interstellar academic conference, Hana was invited to present her research. Her presentation wasn't just about scientific discovery. It was a powerful narrative about overcoming systematic discrimination. June watched from the audience, feeling a quiet sense of pride. He hadn't solved her problems. He had simply created a moment of possibility. The Interstellar Academy was no longer just an educational institution. It was becoming a model of inclusive scientific exploration. Younger students from multiple star systems looked at Hana with hope. They saw someone who had transformed pain into power, isolation into inspiration. Her crystalline body continued to pulse with that unique blue-green light, no longer a symbol of vulnerability, but a beacon of resilience and potential. The ripples of a single act of kindness had become a wave of institutional change, and it all started with someone simply choosing to sit next to a marginalized student and say, "I see you." The galaxy was learning a new language, the language of genuine understanding.